What is going on, everybody? This is Zach with the Be Better Boys. Happy to have you guys back. We also have Jacob back here with me as well.
Shalom, shalom.
So it's just going to be me and Jacob tonight, and Jacob's loving the podcast, so he keeps wanting to do it. So
Yeah.
um, the subject he wanted to bring up tonight, though, was heroes and what makes them. Would you
Yes.
start us off?
So let's first start by defining it.
Okay. You give your definition.
The act of unselfishness with not expecting nothing in return.
I think that's a character of a hero. There's multiple characters of a hero. It's going to be sacrifice, it's going to be bravery, it's going to be dedication,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be, I would say, pass your own bias.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to just say people. A true hero doesn't just say people that he loves.
Yes,
You agree?
I would say so.
So we have four characteristics.
Yeah.
So what are the four characteristics? We have sacrifice, dedication.
Can you repeat it,
So
please?
we have sacrifice, dedication. We also had no bias,
Mm-hmm.
and then lastly, I said bravery.
Yes.
Bravery is the one I would pick apart more than anything, though.
Why is that?
Bravery is it's the act of having fear while you're doing something.
Yeah, I suppose.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
True bravery is.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think's wrong with the world when they say everyone's brave now?
Uh, I'm.
They say sitting out and not doing something is being brave,
Yeah.
when it takes no courage to do that at all. The courage is another one.
Yeah.
Honestly, even I would even say courage. I wouldn't say courage as a characteristic of a hero,
Yeah.
because you're going to be put in situations where you're going to be pushed past your comfort level. So it's not. I don't think you're courageous. I just
Is
think.
courage and bravery almost the same thing?
I think bravery. No, courage is. I don't know. What do you think?
I would say they're
They're
very
similar,
very close.
but they're different for a reason.
Yeah.
So, with that said, what is the difference between bravery and courage?
Honestly, I couldn't give you a definition right here, right now.
Like I said, I think bravery is doing something even though it might hurt you, and you're fearful of it.
Mm-hmm.
And courage is maybe it's the act of working up to bravery. It's the step before bravery.
I could take that.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
It's the process into bravery.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a big part of things, and I think that's why a lot of people today aren't very happy, is because they don't try pushing past anything they're uncomfortable with,
Yeah.
like doing a podcast.
Yeah, I suppose.
No, but go ahead.
He's referring to me.
Yeah. No, but it mainly comes down to, like I said, bravery, and then. So what else makes a hero? So sacrifice. Let's go over sacrifice then.
Sacrifice?
Mhm.
Would sacrifice be almost similar to the act of being unselfish?
Well, yes, I think sacrifice is a form of selflessness. Selflessness.
Yes.
I completely agree. I think selfish people are the worst people in the world.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Well, yes, I agree with my own statement. But what I'm saying is, I think people nowadays, selfishness is the root of everything. And going back to religious between the two of us, I think selfishness is the modern one-word definition of sin.
I would agree.
I think that is a big characteristic of people, and people that are unhappy. The way I look at sin is you're feeding into your own emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the analogy of you're scraping off flesh from your back and feeding filling your belly with it. You'll never sustain yourself,
Yeah.
because you can't feed into your own self all the time. It doesn't exist. So with that, selfishness is something people really need to overcome. But then people like to conflate the two between selfishness and self-care, and they'll start to blur the lines because, oh, I just need to do this because I just need to do it, and they'll convince themselves that life is so dire and against them, but really all they have to do is push past their emotions and their selfish
Yeah.
You know, you agree?
Yeah. It's funny, we were just talking about, for example, at work, somebody said that you have to be selfish to maintain yourself, but I wouldn't. I like that you said self care because I think that's different. Like, for example, me being in school, it's a self care. I wouldn't consider that selfish because I have to spend more time towards the textbook.
The thing, it's here's the thing is, getting a better job is not being selfish if you're providing for a family or
Yeah,
providing for someone else and doing other things with that for other people.
yeah,
If you are working yourself too hard, where you do start to damage your flow of work and you're not being the best who you could be,
yeah,
then you do need to do self-care.
yeah,
But like I said, people like to take that line of sand and then you go, well, maybe it's a little bit more over here, and then
yeah,
they'll change reality in order to fit their emotions. It's always the world too. It's never the person.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's a very big characteristic of that type of person.
Yes,
Everyone has that in them, but just some people show it more than others.
yes, 100%.
So with that, like I said, selfishness, I think, is obviously the opposite of a hero.
So that would be a villain.
Well, yeah, well, yes, but sometimes
Is
But-
it considered a villain, or would you consider an anti-hero a villain?
depends on the anti-hero and the situation and what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do you think Hitler thought he was a hero? A hero to himself?
probably.
That's my point exactly.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Everyone.
So you're saying how it's perceived?
Well, that's why I talk about a lot in the other episodes where we talk about self-reflection,
Yeah,
and then with self-reflection, it comes to breaking down what you think about it, but what society says about it. So I try doing it. What do I think about it? How do I want to feel about it? Why do I want to feel that way?
yeah,
What is it actually? Let's separate my emotions. What do other people say? And just keep doing it over and over with everything.
unfortunately, most people don't think that way,
It's exhausting.
though. I know.
I hate it. I love it, but I hate it.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's because not to be egotistical, but I think about these things a lot more than most people,
I'm sure.
and I have a I have it very well mapped out in my brain now, to the point where I can just kind of, I want to say I know something. I've studied, so it's kind of like a book, you know. There's a whole book right there. I don't know word for word, but I know what the book is. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? The substance of the book. So,
Hmm.
and then with that, you kind of start to learn to navigate what's important in that situation, and you start to pull key characteristics of things that you've expanded your thought on in order to adapt. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I do it all the time. I love mapping out my thoughts. I like to write.
yeah. So you think if more people thought that way, the world would be a better place?
Yeah, but why don't people do that?
Either they don't, it just never occurred to them, or
Is it
selfishness.
selfishness, or is it didn't occur to them, or
It could be all of them.
it could be. I think it is, and we talk about this too a lot in the other episodes. But it's mainly going back to distractions. Like every time I get faced with something I don't like, I instantly have the option to go in my phone and pull up anything I want to distract
Yeah.
myself with it. I can go to any video game. I can go to any TV show. I can go. There's so much distractions now that we forget to think about stuff, because every time we're forced think about, you forget your phone. Like I said, the day that someone forgets their phone is the day they start to go crazy, because
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't know, because they're actually dealing with themselves internally, and they have to think about stuff instead of numbing their brain constantly. You know.
Yeah.
So with that,
Are you talking about like social media? And
social
stuff?
media, big thing, or it's anything though. Video games,
Well-
it's TV, it's everything, Jacob. It is everything.
Yeah. Well, I know that they've done studies on this, and they said that the people creating these apps are getting too good at their job. They want them to back off, but it's never going to happen.
Of course. Well, and then I'm sure, have you seen that Social Dilemma on Netflix?
No.
It's really interesting. It came out a few years ago, and it actually breaks down the major flaws with social media and what they do to your brain.
I'm
Not
sure.
not just by accident, what they intentionally tried to do to us in order to.
Of course, they probably even show us certain content that
Oh, they do.
so that
It's geared towards our viewership. You know.
well, even that, like, it could be leaning towards certain political views that make you want to think certain ways.
Well, of course, yes. Well, there's actually
They have-
studies. I think I don't know what year it was, but I think Facebook. I know it was Facebook for sure. They wanted to see how much they can influence a local election, and that's when they first started off. Did you
Yeah.
know that story?
No.
It was just a local election, and they wanted to see what they could do, and they changed. Like, it was crazy with the results. I had to find it because I don't want to. I had to find research on it. It was really interesting. But so this social dilemma, the thing on Netflix, it talks more. Not only does it talk about what it's doing to us, it comes from people that used to work at the companies like Twitter, Pinterest, Facebook, all that, and they left because they were not happy.
Yeah.
So they tell everyone, I would never let my kids go on any social media or anything. It's designed
Wow.
to get them hooked.
Interesting.
The like button was a huge revolutionary thing.
Mm-hmm.
Tagging people. This is all stuff. It's like a slot machine too with the colors, and you see how stuff comes off the screen, and like when
Yeah.
like someone tells you happy birthday and stuff like that. And then when you get bored, you go up to the very top, you swipe down to reload.
Yep.
This is constant updates.
Or just keep scrolling.
That's what they do though on
They
purpose.
have endless scrolls.
Hmm. And then they go to shorts.
Yep.
And think about this though. I know I've talked about this before, but TikToks nowadays, you have someone just doing something on TikTok and someone else is doing makeup and
Yeah.
going, mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just
It's so dumb.
it is.
The fact that people can't have that much attention, or you see the videos of the cars going down the ramps, and then someone's talking about
I
something.
will say I was very addicted to TikTok at one time.
I
And,
never-
you know, I noticed that I lost the attention to even watch YouTube videos.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I backed off it now, and I feel much better. Because I think that stuff makes you more depressed.
Oh, absolutely. Because why though? Because we talked about this before. We were just talking about this. Why?
I'm not sure. Maybe the lack of purpose because you're filling it up with.
Meaningless.
Yeah, it's okay to do meaningless things at times, just in moderation.
Of course. I think I like 3D printing, and I think that's very beneficial for me to
Yeah.
3D print, and I'm still learning something, and it's actually involving my brain instead of just doom scrolling.
Yeah.
TikTok brain. Anyway, that's one of my favorite insults now. Get TikTok brain. It's such a good insult.
Anyhow, we should probably get back to Hero.
No, it goes off wherever it goes because it actually is going back to it because we're just talking about people that are lacking, and you're saying because people are distracted. So we're saying, why do people feel so depressed?
Yeah.
And I want to expand on that. I was thinking, I think there's more to it than that. I think it's, obviously you're going to agree with me. I know not everyone will. I think there's that God-shaped hole in
Oh
your,
yeah, 100%.
and we try filling it with meaningless stuff until we really put substance to what really matters. Then you're going to really start. Everyone, when it comes to religion, every non-believer, I shouldn't say every, a lot of non-believers think that Christians don't question their beliefs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or constantly doubting.
Of
Not.
course, you want to see if there's any error, and you want to prove it wrong.
Mm-hmm. And also, you want to make sure you got it right if you do think you got it right.
Yeah.
That's what-
I get videos all the time telling us, like, for example, I've seen videos about, I don't know if you're familiar with the story of Horus, the Greek god, and they try to compare it to the Bible, saying that it was deceived, or came from that story, saying that Jesus is a representation of Horus, the Greek, or the Egyptian god, I'm sorry.
Oh, Egyptian. I think I was going to say, I don't think there was. Okay.
And, like, I question that, and there's a lot of flaws in that, and it just makes your faith stronger.
So that's the other thing is when people. Three things happen when you look at your beliefs. That's self-reflection. It's
Yeah.
a big part of everything. And I've said this. I keep saying this. I said this before, but it's true. It's one. You're going to take what you believe and you're going to stack it against something. Three things will happen. One, what you believed is true.
Mm-hmm.
Two, what you believe was kind of true, but it's a little bit more shaped.
Yes.
And three, it wasn't even close to what you thought it was.
Yeah.
And then what's the one thing that happens at all three of those, regardless?
You grow.
You grow.
Yeah.
Go back to our Grow and Tell episode. But it all ties together. This is, like I said, it goes on my brain all the time. It's the connection between self-reflection and then expanding that thought process to really push it more and to see what other people think, to understand your emotional connection to it, but also separate at the same time. It's really hard
Yeah.
because emotions are so real, but they could be so fake.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing I've been talking about. I actually talked to Beck about it.
Okay.
Was I don't know if emotions are real.
Why wouldn't there be?
Hear me out. It's not what you think. I'm not saying they're not real. Of course emotions are real, but what I'm saying is, are reactions real? Well, the reactions are real because they have. Okay, let me break it down a little bit more because it goes a lot more. There's a lot more in depth than what I'm thinking. It goes back to, like I said, Adam and Eve, and then Cain and Abel, and goes, So when it comes to that, Cain obviously wasn't sacrificing the way he should, and he felt, bad. But instead of self-reflecting and saying it was him, he said it was everyone else. Was that real?
No, it's just how you perceived it.
His perception wasn't real.
Yeah.
So,
But
and
his feelings and emotions
are real, and it makes. But you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying emotions aren't real. Emotions are definitely real. I'm just saying how they perceive in the world is not necessarily real because it's based on a perception, and your perception could be wrong.
I wouldn't say not real, but not correct.
I know what you're saying. I know emotions are real. It's a very it's.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it make sense in my brain because it's more to that. I feel like yes, emotions are real, and then but what I'm saying is,
Maybe perception.
well, yeah, perception.
Perception's not or not always real.
But sometimes it is.
But
So
yeah,
it gets very.
that's why I said not always. Keyword.
Do you think? Well, I think there's only two emotions:
What?
love and fear.
What about anger? What about?
What about them? Where does anger come from?
Uh,
Did someone?
I guess it could come from both of those.
It is fear. Fear is the root. That's where you get angry from. It's
You
fear.
could get angry from love too. You can get angry.
What do you mean angry from love? Explain.
Like if you have like this anger for your kid for doing something that you didn't want him to do, and it's not fearful, but it's more out of love. Like I don't know, drinking underage, something. Would you get angry at your kid for drinking underage out of love?
Yes, but I love them enough that I fear losing them for doing something stupid. It's fear of losing them.
But couldn't it be? Isn't that kind of a mixture then?
Well, discipline is a form of love. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
So it can have a negative annotation to it, like discipline. But
Mhm.
discipline is a perfect example of
Yeah.
something that it is a good thing. Like to discipline your kids, it is a good thing because you know better than them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But why are you? Because you're fearful if they don't do what you want them to do.
But yeah, I agree. But I also think it's out of like just love in general.
I understand it's out of love, but it's fear of them not
Yeah.
loving them.
I think it's a mixture.
it is fear though.
Well, there's definitely fear, but
Fear is the main. Fear is the main thing there. Think about it. Fear. If you're angry, fear is the main reason why. You wouldn't be if you were. You're not going to go. There's a different types. You're mixing two emotions. When you can mix two emotions all the time. Like I said, discipline and love. Discipline is a form of love. When a parent tells you a kid not to put their hand in a flame, that's a form of love.
Yeah.
Okay. And then why would the parent start to scream when they get their hand closer?
Obviously,
Is that love or fear?
both. I would.
So, but you see what I'm saying now?
Yes.
But I think fear is the main thing. Now, you're talking about the one aspect of it. Let's change it around.
Yeah.
Let's say when someone's angry now.
So angry. Uh, it could. That could be the same thing.
It's always fear. I'm telling you, it's always fear.
I can think of examples though. Like
Okay, you're just not making the connection all the way down. You got to
Yeah.
keep burrowing down. Keep going.
I'm not saying that there's no fear in it, but I think it's more than fear.
I'm not saying it's not more than fear, but I'm saying fear is the base feeling. There's
Yeah.
two feelings. There's love and happiness, which is and then there's fear.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Do you? Or you just shut me up.
No, I agree, but I think it comes equal. I don't think they're the.
It only okay. It could
They can both be a base.
at the same time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I agree.
That's
But,
all.
but in that instance, I would say you were more loving when you're that. But it's not. You're not. I think it's fear though. If you're getting angry and mad, if that's what we're talking about, if you're talking about love and then getting upset, that's different. But if you're angry, then I think it's fear. I think, but when you're conflating, when you're, like I said, you can always take emotions and mix them with other emotions all the time.
Yeah.
You can, and it produces a different type of emotion between the two. You know.
Yeah.
So with that though, I do think the way you're describing that one, I do think it is love.
Yeah.
But I do think when people are actually angry, I think that's out of fear.
I said
It's not. It's not. You're not angry at the kid for putting. You're worried. There's a difference. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When it is angry, then it's fear.
Would you consider anxiety an emotion?
Absolutely.
Would that be a fear?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just curious.
What is anxiety?
Fear of future, I would say.
What is depression?
Um,
Fear of the past.
I'd agree with that.
It is. If you think about it, anxiety is always fear of the future. I don't fear. Yeah. I don't want to get into it. Anyway, though.
No, it's fine.
But what I'm saying is, I do think. I don't know. This is interesting. I got to think about it more. The whole emotion thing, though. There's more to it than that. I'm not really going down deep into it. I'm not saying, like I said, emotion's definitely real. It's just the way we perceive them might not be. That makes sense?
Yeah.
But I do think there's an ultimate truth.
Yeah.
Do you-
What do you mean by ultimate truth?
like I said, everyone tries to make their own truth fit whatever narrative they have to fit their truth.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how we feel, there is a higher truth, a higher morality, a higher,
You're saying godly truth?
Yes. But without saying that, with the God aspect, I'm saying, well, you kind of have to. I do think that there is a set of, I just like the last episode. I think it's just as real as 2 + 2 = 4,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just not as apparent. The pattern is there. We see the pattern.
Yeah.
But we don't understand it completely. It's not as visually easy for us to accept.
Yeah.
But I do think we know stealing is wrong. That's just as much of a moral truth of the universe. I don't think it was made by man. I think it actually exists outside of man. We discovered it. We didn't create it.
Yeah.
The difference is that's the serpent constantly telling us, no, you do get to pick when it works for you.
Yeah.
And what does that tie back into?
Perception,
Selfishness.
selfishness.
That is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But I was having a thought about the difference between. So I think I mainly study Old Testament. I like Old Testament more than New Testament. Not saying I don't like New Testament, but I'm saying I like studying Old Testament more. I find it more rewarding for me. And I put a lot of time in, obviously, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus. And with those, though, I really, really, really love studying Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. I think there's so much to those 2 stories. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think we were kind of talking about it last time. We didn't talk about it on the podcast. We talked about it afterwards, but I kind of want to bring it up. Where, I don't know if we should go down this rabbit hole. But, let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
That's a whole
episode in its own.
Yeah, that is. So I don't want to get down too much into that. But anyway, so bravery, sacrifice, dedication, and no bias. So we talked about bravery, sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. And now we got to talk about unbiased.
Go ahead.
So
We kind of already touched on it a little bit.
where we're at.
In a different essence, but I was saying just self-reflection. Regardless of what you believe and whatever, it doesn't matter. Just look for an ultimate truth.
Yeah.
And regardless if that person doesn't believe in that truth, if you hold that, well, that's kind of scary too, because some people can hold bad truths.
Yeah. Everyone has their own truths. Like, that's where it comes to perception.
Yes, yes,
But it doesn't make it the truth.
yes.
So,
I don't know. Well, Jacob, we're about 25 minutes in.
okay.
Want to cut it out?
It's up to you.
But go ahead.
Well, what was the last...
Self-reflection, no bias, bravery, sacrifice, dedication.
So let's talk about dedication.
Okay? What is dedication?
the willingness to. I got to think about this. What do you think it is? You're drawing a blank too.
No, I'm thinking about it. Oh, so dedication?
Yeah.
Dedication, I think, it's a form of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Like that's the two things kind of conflating together again.
Mm-hmm.
It's putting things. It's taking what you want to do now away, and putting your future ahead of it. That's dedication. It's sacrificing now in order to get more later.
So would you consider? I know this is kind of off topic, but would it be like almost a habitual thing, dedication, like dedicating my life to studying each week, like habitually? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's definitely it's repetitive.
Yes,
That's a big thing.
That's
That's a
the
big
thing.
thing. That's a good point, Jacob. That is.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Denzel Washington has a quote, and I love it. I gotta find it. It's just talking about dreamers.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be a dreamer. You have to. I gotta find it. It's so good though. But it would mess up the video. But anyway, he's just talking about you have to apply a goal.
Yeah.
But you can't just dream about your goal. You have to. Consistency is what makes a dream happen. Is pretty much what it is. Yeah. And repetition.
Yes. That's the word I was looking for, not habitual.
Yeah. They say if you just take 18 minutes a day in one subject and study it 18 minutes a day for a year, you'll be more knowledgeable than 95% of everyone else in the world on that subject. That's average.
That's interesting.
18 minutes a day. It's 100. I think it's 100 hours a year or something like that. I don't remember what it is. I don't know the math, so don't quote me on that. But it was something crazy. But yeah, if you do that, it'd be more advanced than 95% of the person, other people in that thing you're studying.
That's interesting.
So, all right, let's leave it there. You want to let us out?
Thanks for joining.
Well, thank you guys. Tune in next time and see ya. Have a good one. Love
Peace.
you, boys.